There you go. There you go.
May I ask a quick question? Am I correct that we're trying to find out the value for January 1st, 2015 today?
I think it's what, August 1st in New Orleans?
August 1st.
August
No, but
1st.
the date of the value
Oh,
is, I believe, it says it in here, January 1st of 2015. That was the 4 years.
Well, it's the value, it's the value of that date and the condition of things in the rest of the state, condition of things as of January 1st of that year. In Orleans, it's August 1st. Am I saying that correctly, Russell?
yes, sir.
The condition, but
No, it's what the values would be. For example, property in a given area, use homes, for example, homes in this neighborhood in January of 2015, within say 6 months of either side, are selling for $300,000, okay? 2 or 3 years down the road, the neighborhood's taken off and they're selling for $150,000 more.
right.
You still value it as of that January 2000, this is the case, 2015 valuation date.
That's what I was asking.
Okay,
So,
2015 valuation date. And it would change then in the next reassessment cycle, which will be
Right.
4 years later.
And so, I'm assuming this gentleman used 2015.
1/1/15.
Right, okay. I thought
Yeah,
that was it. I just want to make sure.
they know the right.
They know the rules.
Because two different animals, and a lot of people get confused.
No.
It's a valuation date, but it's then the condition of things. So, a piece of property may be worth $300,000 based on that January 1st, 2015 valuation date, but if it burns to the ground, it's zero for that year because there's nothing there.
Right.
Are you ready?
Thank you for clarifying it.
I think I'm prepared to make a motion. What we're doing on this motion, and what I've done and consulted with my CPA partner here.
Retired CPA partner.
I'm going to take, my motion is basically going to encompass a recalculation, taking the staff appraisal, using $25 a square foot, and using the higher end or 10% cap rate. So rerunning all the numbers and the calculations, that total is going to be $396,000, of which the breakdown of land, $58,800, the improvements of $337,200. Again, the total will be $396,000.
I'd second that.
Commissioner Vercher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasback?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardi?
Yes. And I would ask, if at the appropriate time, next week or so, if you all can get
Well, the
together
roads are open now, so
and see if you can
we'll try and work
work
it out.
something out and take out of there some of that leasehold improvement.
Sure.
And again, it's a request. There's no teeth in it, so, just
Thank
is what
you.
it is, just do what you can,
Thank you for.
if anything. All right, the next appeal is the appeal of Decatur Hotel Corporation versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review. Docket number 17-22172-050. Again, taxpayer appeal. I would ask Mr. Quinn to go ahead and present his appeal.
Thank you very much. The good news is there's no sweetheart lease in this one. The bad news is about everything else is wrong. I guess I'm going to trying to go in the order that this gentleman, Mark Gillespie, did his report, and just to kind of follow along that. The biggest thing I think we have an issue with is this hotel is 36 rooms. It's right outside of the French Quarter. It's on an alley that we share with the Marriott. So we deal with the Marriott dumpsters, we deal with the dirt and everything coming out of there. The cab drivers line up about 4 in the morning and start yelling at each other all morning. And then besides that, you have, it's hard to imagine, but when the drivers come down the driveway from the Marriott, they have to honk the horn every time they turn a corner for insurance purposes. So the biggest problem we have with this hotel is noise, and we put in triple windows and everything we could do, added soundboard. It's just unfortunately, it's an issue we have to deal with. The next thing is the rooms are small. They were 18 rooms, and we made 36 out of them. We cut them in half because it made a little more sense. But it's not like we have 36 big rooms. We have 36 small rooms. We have, at this hotel, we have no courtyard. We have no balconies. We have no health club. We have no pool, no business center, no restaurant and bar. What we do have, and we don't have parking, which is a really big issue because our customers have to pay like $40 a night, 42, maybe 43 with taxes, to park. And if we're competing against several other hotels in the French Quarter, like Bienville House, Richelieu, several of them, Marie Antoinette, they have parking. So they give the people parking. So we've got to lower our rate like $40 to be competitive since we don't have parking. There's a line in the income statement that refers directly to that, where Mr. Gillespie put in $183,000 for incidental revenue, miscellaneous revenue, I think he called it. It's on the income approach calculation, and you show $183,489.
Right. Yeah, I took that directly from the.
Okay, but that is not. There's no profit there. That's a wash. That's just a break even. That's parking. We pay out that money. It's not.
Well, I think
may make $1 maybe.
I'm not going to testify for Mr. Gillespie. He can do it on his own. I believe that to the extent that this other income, which is income, would be included in the operating expenses of the 66% of operating expenses as a percentage of effective gross income. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, it's prior to the expenses. You get your potential gross income,
right?
Which of course is just room related, and then other income is added in after that. Any other income that is not room related, and which is on his statement is 183,000.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
that number may be right, but I don't. He used a chart. He didn't use our numbers. He used a chart, a book he took stuff out of.
Actually, it came directly from the income statement that he provided.
In what respect? To the
his other miscellaneous other income is an operating revenue that is on its a line item on his NHG trailing profit and loss statement that he provided to me.
What is we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but what is the roughly ratio between his expenses and his income?
The ratio,
or effective gross income.
Let's put it this way: his operating expense ratio that
right.
they provided was 77.7%.
Okay.
And I'd like to elaborate on that when we get
when it's
to
your
that
turn.
point.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah. All right.
Okay. And so I can't dispute the numbers I gave him, but what I'm saying is it shows up as revenue, but on the bottom he just used an estimated number for the operating expenses. So if he was comparing us to Marie Antoinette or Provincial or Bienville House, any of those, they would have had zero for an operating because they own parking. We don't own any parking. So it's a break even.
So you say it's a wash?
It's a wash. It's a wash. It's a wash. And then, okay, so I kind of jumped out of order there. I'm sorry.
What is this less third parties that you included? 352,000.
That's a huge thing. Expedia, Trivago, Hotels.com, If you tried to book a room anywhere in the country.
So that's fees paid to the
third
travel
parties.
agent in the old days.
A travel agent was 10%. These guys get between 18 and 25%. It kills us. And if you look at one of our exhibits that discusses that, I think it showed, we track it, and I think about 13% of our business didn't come from third parties, and we're always working hard to get more people to go to our website. But you know, when there's 200 hotels in town, it's hard to get people to go to your website. They usually just go to one of those services. And but I do have that. So once again, I don't think that. So that gross number that you're seeing, it's even worse than I said, because they charge a credit card fee of 5% that they add to it, and they take out of our money. And normally we pay like 2% with Visa or MasterCard, but they take 5. So if their deal is 18, which is the best you ever get from them, you take out the 5 for the credit card, 23% of the income that we're showing as revenue, we don't get. We just pay it right back to them. And so it's in our numbers, which Mr. Gillespie thinks are high, but I'm not sure whatever numbers he uses as a resource factored that in. And if we were a Holiday Inn on the freeway, it may not matter. But we're a New Orleans boutique type hotel, so we get only tourists. We don't get business people. We don't get, very rarely ever get a convention here. We get people who are coming here on vacation, and they're using those services. And so it's a huge thing. It's like I said, a fourth of our income, and I'm pretty sure that whatever you used, the host thing you used, didn't calculate that. Okay, like I said, the rooms are small, and Mr. Gillespie admitted that. He saw the rooms. They're small. The bathrooms are small. A lot of times the bathrooms are odd shaped, because when you take a building that wasn't built as a hotel and you make it a hotel, you got to work around things. It's not like you start with everything in a straight line. Like I said, we have no services. There's a kind of a big calculation error in the square footage. These guys got it right. The city had it right. They sent me a letter saying, if this number's correct, don't do anything. And they sent a number of 13,064, which I believe is correct. So a fourth of that would be 30, where did I write it now? 30, I have it calculated. In my head, 3,025 feet is what the ground level is. The ground level is around 3,000 feet. The total is 13, and it's straight up and down. You know, there's no zigzag. So the ground floor is 1/4 of 13,064. However, Mr. Gillespie used the number of right. He used the square footage of 4686 when in actuality it's 3250, and he used a number of $70 when his own research came up with a number of 66. So as far as the land, we can make that real easy and simple and quick. The land is only he made a mistake or something. The ground floor, which takes up the whole thing, is 3266.
Okay.
And the average of the comps was $66.35. So I think even if we use his own numbers, the price for the land should be $216,000.
I apologize. I thought he was referring to the grid on page 9 of my report as the improvement, but it's actually the land value, and I can quickly explain what happened there.
Okay.
Let's wait till
Okay,
it's your
all
turn,
right.
okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm certainly not trying to say he did it on
it's
purpose.
okay.
I think it was just an accident. Okay, so the basic thing is and I could go through more of these things, but the basic thing is this is a basic, simple hotel. It's not, you're not going to a fancy place. It's small rooms, small bathrooms, and it's noisy. And on one of the pages, I showed you the recap of our scores compared to our competitive set. In the hotel business, the competitive set is like the average, like the 5 hotels most like yours. If you look at our RevPAR, we're like 10% off of them. If you look at our scores, which really hurts us, and I go through all these scores, it's almost always the noise problem. We're rated 7.3 out of 10. The other 5 hotels are rated 8.5 out of 10. Our TripAdvisor rating 3.5. Theirs is 4.3. Out of 166 hotels that TripAdvisor ranks, we're 115, which is terrible, and we're working on that to make it better. But some things we can't control. So we're not your average French Quarter hotel. I guess the final point I make is we're not in the French Quarter. We're in the CBD, and I think a lot of people in New Orleans think that the French Quarter starts on Canal, but it doesn't. It starts on Iberville. And for a long time, that didn't matter because people didn't care. But now that we're getting 80, here it is right here, we're getting 86% of our business from the search engines. If the people put French Quarter in their search words, we don't come up because we're not allowed to say we're in the French Quarter. So if they put, you know, pool, French Quarter, pet salad, whatever, if you have one thing that they don't have, you don't come up. You're left out. And the fact that we're across the street from French Quarter really does hurt us because we're knocked out of all the search engines. So the final thing I'll say is 36 rooms is very inefficient to manage. If you had 100 rooms, your expenses wouldn't be that much more. You still need a manager, you still need a desk clerk, you need a maintenance man, you're probably going to have a few more housekeepers. But most of the costs in our business are fixed. And a small hotel is not near as efficient as a bigger hotel. With all that in mind, I did my P&L. I just used Mr. Gillespie's, and I changed the numbers to mine. And unfortunately, I ended up with a minus 101,455,000. So no, that's asking a lot. But we're working on these numbers, and the hotel was closed for 2 years.
So what value are you asking us to put on the property?
It's hard for me to say. Well, like I said, the income approach comes out 0, and I know it's not 0. So, I mean, last year we were at 819,000 total, and I would say if you bumped it to $1 million, that would be reasonable.
So you're asking for $1 million value?
Total.
On the improvements or total?
Total.
Total.
And then the land, as I explained, the land, I'm saying that's worth 215 because I used his own numbers and just changed the square footage to be correct, and he came out with 215. So I guess what I'm asking for is 215 land and 785 for the structure.
Okay. All right. Mr. Alvarez?
So the hotel is and I'll try to be as brief as I can.
Please.
The hotel is a larger hotel that's made up of multi-parcels. This particular parcel is 36 rooms, so the hotel is not a 36-room hotel. It is in the 101st block between Canal and Iberville on Decatur Street. We feel that the tax commission should uphold the BOR's value at a current, was it 2.7 million? I think it was.
2.7 million. Yes.
Considering that the tax commission staff appraiser's value is substantially higher. We think that our property, our valuation of this hotel is an accurate reflector of market value, considering that we're so low, considering the staff appraiser's valuation. And we would like you to uphold the BOR's value.
You went up a lot from 2017 to 18. Was that a reappraisal of that area, or?
That was a reappraisal of all hotels in the city.
Okay.
And I believe our valuation is, don't know off the top of my head. I tell you what, I won't say it because I'm not in the commercial division, so I don't want to speak for them. I'm just handling this for my colleague.
Sure. All right.
I understand, and Mr. Alvarez is correct. It is exactly where he said. It's in the French Quarter, and it's 60 rooms, but 24 of those are on a leased parcel. And so I could have brought that up, but it doesn't. I just thought we were talking about the 36, so that's all I talked about. I'm not appealing the property taxes of the 24 rooms. I think the biggest problem with the assessment of Mr. Gillespie is he used numbers out of a book. He didn't use my numbers. He used numbers out of a book saying we should be charging another $20 more per room, and we should be cutting our expenses by 20%. Well, believe me, I would love to cut our expenses by 20%, and I'd love to have 10% more business. I've been doing this for 43 years, so I try my best. We have a good team. It's just not as easy as what the book says. They're not, you know, it's like saying, well, the Saints should have won 14 games last year. Well, they only won 12, you know. Well, they should have won 14. The book says they should have won 14. You can't, he has the real numbers, but he didn't use the real numbers. He used made-up numbers.
Well, for property tax purposes, we also like to look at the market because, and again, this is just a general statement, not reflective of you as an individual, but you know, you have people out there that own real estate that do a bang-up job of managing their property and keep their expenses very low. You also have people out there that are terrible managers of their own property and they spend money like there's no tomorrow. Well, if you use those actual numbers, you could end up overvaluing or undervaluing the property based on good management or bad management. So you do want to take a look at what the market bears so that you know, you want to see if the actual expenses, how they match up to what's in the marketplace.
I think the big difference is what I said about, and this is in your package, 86.31% of our business comes from the third parties, and we only get to keep 77% of that. We give 23% to those companies, 5% for the credit card, and 18% for their fee. And so it comes out as an expense. So our expenses look really high because we could have taken that number out of the revenue. It would have been the same thing. We could have reduced the revenue by that number, or we could have taken it out as an expense. But we take it out as an expense, like a travel agent commission, and that's why, that's probably that one issue, that one item probably explains the difference between our numbers and the numbers he used. And then the fact that the rate he's saying is low, I'm sure it's because if you're comparing us to almost any other hotel in that area, they all have more amenities. We just don't have any amenities.
Okay. All right, let's hear from Mr. Gillespie.
Okay, Mark Gillespie with the Tax Commission. I did appraise the property at 131 Decatur Street and determined that it definitely needs
Pull the microphone a little bit closer, please.
functional obsolescence issues. There's an elevator that is antiquated and it's slow, and it's the only way. I think there's a staircase on the other side of the building. The taxis in the rear of the building constantly making noise. There are numerous issues, foundation issues. It goes on and on. So in my appraisal, I did a complete analysis. I did an analysis using his data. I did an analysis using all market data, but in the past, I've appraised many of the hotels in Orleans Parish for appeals. And what I've done for consistency when appraising these hotels, we've utilized the taxpayer revenue and expenses if they are within 10% of the market values or the host values, okay? In this instance, our host numbers, this is it's a New Orleans CBD limited service custom report that was created by the Star or host people. So it's fairly accurate. However, I used the host data and then aired 10% either way for the taxpayers' values. I used a super high capitalization rate.
Mr. Gillespie, I have to go back. I'm sorry. I don't want to stop you though.
Okay, well.
Sorry.
anyway, and I used a high capitalization rate in order to reflect the issues with the property. Although it's within the range of the RERC, Real Estate Research Corporation, capitalization rate provided for this area, I used a higher rate in order to reflect the issues. Okay, so
you used numbers that would tend to drive the value down
well,
because of issues that you saw?
yeah, I don't want to say drive the value down.
Well,
I
I'm
just
saying,
wanna say
I'm not
reflect.
saying that's why you did it. I'm saying
Right,
you used a little higher capitalization rate.
right,
And you
exactly.
still considered this a tier 1 property?
Well, let's put it this way. Tier 1 has a range of, for a hotel, has a range between 5 and 10%. Tier 3, which is the lowest of quality, has a range from 7 to 12. So I'm still within even the tier 3.
Sure.
But I guess what I'm getting to, my whole point is that to be consistent with the other hotels that I've appraised in the past, I used the 10% on either side of host. But I took the liberty to do one with all of his numbers.
Okay.
And just for argument's sake, the value comes out to be $1,574,000. Now, that's, like I say, that's using all of his numbers.
Okay.
Because I do recognize that there are many issues with this property. You walk in, it looks nice, but there's a lot of functional obsolescence that really affects it.
Did you see any of the rooms?
Yes. The rooms are nice, but they're very tiny, and the bathrooms are small, and,
What about the problem that Mr. Quinn mentioned with the square footage of the land?
Oh, yes, okay. I took the square footage from the assessor's website, and they had it at 4,686. And in the legal description, I think the legal description may be incorrect. It says that it's square 31 lots 8 and 9, which are two lots next to each other, and then, which are 22 by 71 each, which would put it at, I think, 3,124 square feet. And then it mentions lot 10, Decatur to Dorsier, 22, which I think is that extra lot, which should be excluded. Is that right?
That must be the part of his lease.
Yes.
Not
So
sure.
Yeah.
my assumption is that it's 3,124 square feet.
So what would is that what you put in your appraisal, or
No.
what would that amount, what should that
'Cause
land value be?
I've just become aware of this just now. So, but it should be, at $70 a square foot, should be $218,680.
Okay.
And I used $66 because that's what he came out with 66, but he rounded up. It's just $4, but.
Well, you said earlier 216,000, he says 218.
Yeah, we're
So
talking
we
about
did
pennies
pretty
now.
close.
Yeah.
Right, we're talking about very little.
Mr. Gillespie, continue.
So I guess really what I'm saying is, even with the value at $3,176,000, I was erring on the side of the income and expense provided by the taxpayer, and but using actuals, it's a lot. It's much lower, obviously. $1,576,000.
So 1,576,000 or 574?
I'm sorry, $1,574,000.
Okay. And your value determination using the income approach is $3,176,000.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And the land would be
Let's see. it'd be-
218,680?
Yes, sir. And the improvement value would be I'm sorry, using my value at $3,176,000, the improvement value would be $2,957,320.
$2,957,320.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying, having had his actual numbers prior to doing this appraisal, you would be at $1,574,000?
Well, I guess to say again, to be consistent with the other hotels that I did in the past, which were typically in better condition, I would err on 10% either side of the host values towards the taxpayer's numbers.
But in all due respect, I think he didn't answer your question.
In this instance, the using the taxpayer data, coming up with 1 million. I'm still, I think in that instance, I'm in between the taxpayer's value and the assessor's value. You know, and that's a judgment call there, I think.
It appears that the lower end of the host report on occupancy versus the taxpayer's actual information submitted on occupancy is a huge difference.
Yes, because the host occupancy rate is 74%. The taxpayer's actual was 57.12, and I aired at 66% lower.
Right, yeah. Saw that.
And if I can comment on that, because we have no meeting space, we're not a business hotel, we do pretty good almost every weekend. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you have to give away rooms to sell them. I mean, every hotel in the town has empty rooms on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So it's hard to have a high occupancy when all you have is tourists. If we had business customers in between like Atlanta or Houston, we could probably come to those numbers. But
I would have to disagree with that. The hotel industry is experiencing a large increase of tourism in the city of New Orleans, and the hotel rates, their hotels being built on a daily basis because the hotels were selling out so quickly. And that's something that you can check with the Convention Center and Visitors Bureau on St. Charles, that our hotel occupancy rate is higher than it's ever been.
I'd have to differ with that. It was much higher in 2000, 2001. But there's a lot of new product. There's 4,000 or 5,000 new hotel rooms in town in the last couple of years, and there's maybe 1,000 more under construction. Also, there's about 5,000 legal Airbnb units, and that's units. That's not counting. Some of them have 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, and there's probably several thousand more that never signed up with the city. So you're talking about adding between new construction and what the Airbnb. We've got a ton of competition that we didn't have.
What is your average rate for the weekday compared to the weekend?
A ton of difference. On the weekdays, we probably get average $79. On the weekends, we probably get close to $200 on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
It's supply and demand. Can I make one quick point? So I think there may have been a mistake.
Sure.
When Mr. Gillespie was saying he came up with $1,574,000, I think even that number he's saying is a compromise between what he thought, what our numbers were, and what Mr. Alvarez's numbers were. The 1,574 is not based on what we actually did in sales. That's a compromise number, correct?
Actually, that number is based exactly on the expenses that he provided, utilizing a high cap rate, a tier 3 cap rate, and that, I mean, that's.
He utilized your numbers and put it at the high end of the capitalization rate to adjust for
exactly his numbers.
So you moved to tier 3. So what cap rate are you using then?
I use the same cap rate, but the cap rate that I use is still
10%?
It's still within a tier 3 range. Okay. It's actually both.
So you're taking his actual P&L data,
right to get the 1,574,000.
Mr. Gillespie, are you
Exact
changing your
sales.
appraisal from 3 million to 1.5 million?
No.
No, he's just saying that if he
I'm not
used his
saying that at
numbers,
all.
he's not changing
Okay.
it.
No.
He took Mr. Quinn's numbers and did an appraisal solely based on those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It came out with the 1,574,000.
Okay.
But then he also did, Mr. Gillespie also did evaluation using the host study
Right.
for those statistics, and that came out with the value of 3,170,000.
And then-
Okay, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
clarify
No, no,
because
no.
we got a lot
He
of
did
numbers
two
floating
different-
around
I
here.
know.
But there's a $100,000 overvalue of the land either
And-
way.
And I
Well,
also,
both cases.
we're looking at the income approach that's being used is going to be a value for the overall property. and then the land would be subtracted out from
Okay,
that.
I didn't realize that.
And
I
the
looked at
balance
it
on the improvements.
in the other respect as well, using all host values with a tier 1 rate. And you don't want to hear that number. It's $5,660,000.
I'd love to
And
hear
that's-
it.
But that, you
I
do
wish I
not
could-
believe that's.
No,
that's
I'd
absolutely
take that
not.
right now. and
What I did-
You'll never see me again.
So, Mr. Gillespie, you,
I just looked at everything. I wanted to
Okay.
see what,
so you're comfortable now that you have the taxpayers' data supporting your appraisal would support $1,574,000
I
valuation?
would be comfortable with that, yes.
Say that again
I
now?
would be comfortable with that, yes.
With what number?
With the $1,574,000.
Okay.
So in essence, you're changing your value from the
No.
3 million to the
No,
1.5.
the value is in my report. I'm just saying the analysis that I did, I'm reporting that to the board. They can make a decision as they wish.
And when you move this, the report says tier 1, but now it's tier 3, but you use the same cap rate. Does
All right,
that,
let's see
does
if I
that
can
make
show
sense?
And as far as the assessor's concerned, it was in 2017 on the books for $819,000. So we're, it would almost double.
Sure, no, I understand that, what it was on for the prior year, but the property was not valued correctly in the year before at 800,000. And I want to believe that was due to, I want to say that it was due to a reappraisal prior to our office doing the French Quarter area. This is included in the French Quarter valuations, and
That's
I mean,
part of the issue we have, and we don't do it every 4 years. you
Sure,
know?
no, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I mean, we valued it using the information that we had, using a key that was decided on between our office and
this
supported
is
by
in
the
the
tax
French
commission.
Quarter?
So we valued it at
It's not in French
2.7. The board review upheld it at 2.7. The tax commission staff appraiser is coming in higher at 3.1. And then
Using host data.
I understand that, using host data, but also being very conservative with using of the host
Yeah,
data,
true.
using a higher cap rate, using a higher than host expense ratio to be more conservative. If we had known the 1.5 million would be thrown out, we would have provided documentation or done an appraisal for this. This is kind of blindsiding us at 1.5 million during the hearing.
Well, I explained all this to the gentleman when I went to the church, and Delgado explained it again, and it kind of fell on deaf ears. We're not in the French Quarter. We're not tier 1.
I mean, we had no objection to the appraisal. We wasn't requesting the tax commission staff appraisal. We were requesting to uphold the BOR.
And according to you, this is in the French Quarter proper?
Yes.
It's not. It's not in the front.
It may not be in the it is between Canal Street and Iberville.
But is that the
It is,
French Quarter?
as far as historically, it's not going to be, it's going to be one block out.
Okay,
According to,
and that does
according
make
to-
a difference.
According
so-
to perception of the property, it is in the French Quarter because it's on Decatur Street and it's right there where everything else is at.
He may have been correct in the old days.
But if I search TripAdvisor, which is how I get my hotels, or Airbnb, and I said French Quarter, that won't come up as French Quarter, or it will?
I have no idea because I haven't looked at it.
No, it won't.
And I would hate to take, to make a ruling on it without being able to verify it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm from New Orleans. If you want to,
Tell us what you
it's
think.
not. It's downtown on the river end of the quarters. You
So
can
it's
call
not- it's not.
It's
Here it is. Here's the French Quarter.
yeah.
It's right here.
It's right
So
off the
one or two blocks from the border.
It's 1 block.
One block.
one.
But that
It's
one
off of
block,
Canal- off of
unfortunately,
Canal
it
Street.
didn't make a big difference before the internet. 'Cause people thought it was a French
It's off
Quarter.
of Canal
But now
Street
they have
and
exact knowledge.
It's on Decatur Street between Canal and Iberville.
In Iberville.
In what?
Iberville,
Iberville, okay, so it's in that first block.
yes.
Yeah, right next to the Marriott Alley.
It's not. So it's not in a bad neighborhood.
No, no, location's
No,
not a bad
good
location.
No, it's right where you want it to be for tourists.
Real near the casino, too.
Yes. It is in a pretty superior location.
Yeah.
As far as noise, I don't think anything can be noisier than Royal Sonesta. Yeah, and I've stayed there on occasion.
And y'all are gonna update your square footage?
I'll take a look at the legal description and make sure the land is corrected.
I believe his is correct. I believe they have it correct. I think Mr. Gillespie made an error.
Well, Mr.
Okay.
Gillespie,
Good.
Agreed.
Changed his.
Right. So I think all three of us now agree
okay.
on the land.
Mr. Chairman, I need to get some numbers.
Do some arithmetic.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Gillespie, even with your change, are you saying that 328,000 is right for the land value? You just had the wrong the wrong square feet?
I had the wrong square
But that
footage.
value,
Yeah,
$328,000.
Per square foot, yeah, which is $70 per square
On
foot.
the correct square
Yes, in
foot.
fact,
So,
Okay.
so what's the land value?
218,680.
yes, sir, that's right. In fact, if you,
Which is different from the
if you look on page 9.
assessor.
Yeah.
No.
I did my land.
Oh,
I did my
I'm
land.
sorry, I should say.
So it's not 4686, it's 3124.
Yes, sir.
Square footage.
Yeah, that's what that's right.
Al-
So-
Also, I'd like to just point out that our 2.7 valuation upheld by the BOR is equitable with every other property of this type, of this tier, of this amenity level.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there.
All right.
Thanks
for
Mr.
the-
Chairman, I think I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, please do.
On docket number 17-22172-050, in light of some unique differences with respect to this property and challenges as compared to other host properties, I think my motion will be a total valuation of $2.2 million, setting the land at $218,680 and the improvements at $1,981,320.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasback.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner West,
Yes to the Bonaparte.
and Chairman Shahart.
Yes, and what?
Yes. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for your-
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break. And respective parties are welcome to come to the table. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back. So,
We don't need to stay around.
no, you're done. Take care.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.